Hi there, Steve Kaufman here. I want to continue talking about this importance of being relaxed when we're learning languages. I think one of the biggest obstacles to successful language learning is stage fright. People think they're performing when they're speaking a foreign language. We're not performing, we're just communicating. And as long as we're focused on communicating, we will succeed. And communication takes place when we're listening, when we're reading, when we're speaking, when we're writing. These are all forms of communicating in another language. And if our focus is firmly on communicating, we will expose our brains to enough of the language that we will continue to improve. I constantly get letters, emails from people to my blog, for example, at the Linguist on Language or at Link. People say, I've been studying English or some other language for so much time and I don't think I'm making any progress and what should I do and stuff. And my answer always is just enjoy the language. You will continue to improve. Some people are going to do better. Some people are going to have an easier time pronouncing the language. Some people have learned more languages and therefore might do better. But as long as you're enjoying the language, that's fine, mission accomplished. And if you spend the time with the language, you will improve. And there was a discussion on one of our forums at Link. Someone raised the issue of pitch in Japanese. In fact, they were concerned about, this person was concerned about the accents of some of the content at Link, whether it was from Osaka or Tokyo. And my contention is, with all these issues of accent, whether it be in Spanish or Portuguese or French or English, it really doesn't matter. You'll gradually imitate the form of the language that you either hear the most or that you want to imitate, but you should, in fact, expose yourself to a lot of different accents. It's not going to hurt you. And this person felt, though, that it was very important to get the pitch right in Japanese. And I had never heard of pitch in Japanese. I don't know what it is. And this person directed me to some websites where I saw some tremendously complicated explanations about pitch and referring to, I think the term was mora or something, which was some other term other than phoneme. It all has to do with sounds. And I just think that if in learning Japanese, I had to worry about the pitch of different words and worry about whether the person I was speaking to was using the pitch that I wanted to imitate. I mean, it just introduces another element of complication. It's just like golf. The more instruction you have about how to hold your wrist, your knee, your shoulder, the less well you can play golf. If you go out there to enjoy the game, you're actually going to do better. And you have to gradually start to feel the swing in golf. And some people in the long run will do better and some will do less well. I think in languages, the differences are not as great because in golf, you have to be a very talented athlete and practice a lot. Whereas in language learning, we are all capable of speaking languages. But I think this whole idea I learned Japanese. I never worried about pitch, didn't know it existed. I don't think I learned one single grammatical term in learning Japanese. I just know that they say ikimasu, go, ikimasu, ikimashou, ikudaro, whatever. Hasta iku desho, mo itan janai ka, whatever it might be. And in speaking Japanese, undoubtedly I was always influenced by the people that I was around, so that if I spent 3 weeks in the Kansai with some customers down there, I might come back speaking with more of a Kansai accent. And then if I was back in Tokyo, then I would lose that. It didn't really matter. But I just think if we get back to this idea of stage fright being such a major inhibiting factor in language learning, the more things we have to think about. Is this the right pitch? Or in my Russian, is this the right case? I mean, I just let it come out. It'll come out wrong, right, and gradually over time it'll come out right more often. And of course I review the cases in Russian. But the fewer, and you have to, because eventually I want to speak Russian correctly. But the fewer things like that we introduce, the better, the more confident the person can be. If I had to worry about pitch, it's the same with tones in Chinese. Sure, when we learn the words, we want to see what tone they are, but mostly we want to get the hang of the rhythm by listening and imitating. And if I have to think about the tone of every word in Chinese as I speak, then I can't speak. So I guess I just, it's a bit like I mentioned in my previous podcast about this term parasegmentals applied to learning English. The fewer technical terms we use, the fewer technical aspects of the language that we direct the learner to try to learn, the better, the fewer inhibitions the learner is going to have. They won't be checking it for pitch and checking it for tone and checking it for case and checking it for this rule and that rule with all the exceptions. They'll just learn. And if they focus on the meaning, focus on communication. Again, it was the same when I started with Russian. The explanations are incredibly complicated. I don't say that I don't occasionally review Russian grammar. I do. But I don't do it with the intent of learning it, remembering it. I just use the occasional grammar review as a reminder. And the more I'm exposed to Russian, the more natural some of this stuff starts to become, and the more naturally I'm able to reproduce it when I speak. So because I had I had the one person who emailed me and said, I've been learning English for so long and I still don't feel that I'm fluent. And then this other person worrying about pitch. And this other person, in fact, said that he considered himself intermediate to advanced, like intermediate to advanced. And he said he speaks Japanese only well enough to talk to his friends. Well, if you are intermediate and you can only talk to your friends, then I think you have a severe case of stage fright. I am quite happy to talk to anyone at any stage of my language development, because my only goal is to communicate. And if I have something to communicate, I will communicate, even if I'm a ranked beginner. I don't spend a lot of time talking as a beginner because I don't have a lot to say. I'm not able to say very much. But if the situation is there, if I have to communicate, I communicate with anyone, not just with my friends. So there you have it on pitch, stage fright, and just staying relaxed and natural and focusing on communicating and being happy with whatever level we have in the language. At every stage, I'm happy. Even at the beginning, I'm happy. I'm doing a few things in the new language. And as I get better, I'll continue to be happy because I'm communicating. And every so often I'll experience certain breakthroughs. I read a whole book and I knew most of the words, or whatever, some sense of confirmation that we are progressing. But as long as we focus on communicating and enjoying the language, we will progress. So don't be too uptight out there. Don't worry about your pitch. Bye for now.